So the clip that you guys just saw was my old Bell's 4000 series processor that I had. I get asked a lot of times why we got rid of the Bells, and basically we got rid of the Bells because we grew too quick, or I grew too quick. I exhausted my wood supply and couldn't keep a steady supply of wood ahead of it, and the processor needs auxiliary equipment other than just a processor to run. In the photo there you saw a skid steer and a log crane. Any of you guys that have worked in the woods business, that have been around old cranes, know that they are money pits. They leak, hydraulic fluid's expensive, they break, cylinders, bushings, pins, all that stuff. And the skid steer was needed for cleanup and for loading odd logs and, you know, just moving stuff around. Really needed both of those machines to do it and do it efficiently. So there was basically three big moving parts with the processor, the crane, and the skid steer. When I couldn't get enough wood to keep the processor running, we had to do something different. I was paying a payment on a machine that was sitting there. I was paying a rental on the crane because the crane was not mine. It was borrowed from a local logger. So I was paying a rental on that crane. So I decided to go back to splitters and saws. When I did that, Gramp came back around and continued to help like he always had before. He wasn't around as much when the processor was around. Didn't feel like he was needed, I guess, if we had the machine there. So I really enjoyed the fact that Gramp came back around, and that's one of the reasons why I don't shop for a processor now, is because Gramp doesn't want a processor. But the Bell's 4000 series machine was an excellent machine. It was fairly fuel efficient. I figured roughly 3/4 of a gallon of fuel to a quart of wood, somewhere in that neighborhood. I had 4, 6, and 8-way wedges with it. It would cut up to, I believe it was a 26-inch diameter log. Don't quote me on that, it's been a while. But very simple machine to operate. One joystick did everything. Very simple machine to work on. There was no emissions system, there was nothing fancy. Basic hydraulic pilot controls. Really nice, well-built machine. Didn't really have any issues with it the entire time that I had it. The only issue I had was self-induced by this guy right here. I had a piece of oak go back over the splitting ram and get wedged between the main frame of the machine and the wedge on the, not the wedge, the pusher on the cylinder. And when it came back with some pretty good force, and on that particular machine there's a limit switch that tells it when it's all the way back and not a pressure relief. So when it didn't hit that limit switch, it still tried to come back, and when it came back, it snapped the drive shaft for the log trough clean in half. A 3-inch shaft just shattered it. It just sounded like a cannon went off. It was one of those late fall evenings when it was getting dark, not quite light enough to really see. You probably shouldn't have been operating anyway, but I was trying to get that one last cord out, and bang. But other than that, no issues with the machine the entire time we had it. It had a 24-foot stacking conveyor, radial stacking conveyor with it that ran hydraulically off the processor. Well-built unit. Can't say anything bad about the unit itself. Bell's was always excellent to deal with customer service wise. If you had any issues or needed any parts, anything like that, it's Easton made now. For those of you that don't know, Bell's is Easton made, and they've kind of combined and turned into one, but all excellent machines still to this day. Can't say enough good about Bell's and Easton made and the customer service that I've had from them throughout the years. They're a really great group of guys. So that's the story with the processor. So basically we just got too big too quick, and I couldn't keep up with what I had for a machine. So when you have a non-earning asset sitting in the yard, you've got to do something different, and we went back to splitters and saws, and that got Gramp back in the yard. And that was, you know, honestly kind of, I guess, a blessing. To get to spend some extra time with Gramp, and to have Gramp feel like he's got a purpose and a need to, you know, have his services. And, you know, I couldn't be happier. I'm not disappointed that I don't have a processor, but someday again we'll have one. But for right now, we're in wood splitter shopping mode. We're gonna go to Bunyan. We're gonna check everything that we can check out when we're there, and, you know, ask all our questions, and, you know, try to do our due diligence to make sure that whatever we bring for a splitter into the yard is going to be an improvement and a step up from the all-wood that we have currently. And maybe, you know, be an addition to the all-wood. Maybe we'll be running 2 splitters. To be determined, I guess, but we'll see. So just a little short clipping video. If you guys like this stuff, give it a like, thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.